As more and more people join, we will just go ahead and kick things off. So,
Right.
welcome. Happy Wednesday, everyone. So this is a room that I am personally very excited about because I have worked with agents who have worked with Rod, and I've heard nothing but fantastic, fantastic things about the way that Rod goes about his process, captivating logos and captivating the essence of an agent and their brand. And so this room is really going to touch more on that, from understanding the impact of visual elements and the essence of one's brand to then go in and then generate your logo and craft your brand identity. This room is going to touch on all of those things. And so I'm going to hand it off to Rod. And so if you have any questions, feel free to unmute, or you can always drop your questions into the chat as well.
Well, thank you so much for that intro. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing, and we'll just jump right in here. So obviously I'm Rod, and today we're going to have some fun and talk about some logos, and specifically we're going to get into the messaging of your logo, the values, your market, what works, what doesn't work, and some things to maybe avoid, and then finally my process. So let's jump right in here to first your message. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Serhant or the Williams & Williams logo. So one of the things that when I first worked with an agent, we talk about, do you want to set up a business that you might want to walk away from, or have other people join you? And in this case, in the case of Serhant, obviously he's his own person, he's his own brand. And so that particular logo, Serhant with the period, completely works for him, but that may not work for other people. If you want to have a real estate company with other people, maybe you want to not have your name in the logo. And now you might want to incorporate, we can incorporate some symbols. For instance, the Williams & Williams logo. If you know anything about some logos, or if you're familiar with Los Angeles realtor and real estate agents, am I echoing?
Not to me. Joe, are you hearing any echo?
Yeah, sorry guys. I was doing something that was.
Oh no, all good. All good. All good. Just making sure it wasn't me. So the Williams & Williams logo is they reference the iconic Goldstein house in Los Angeles with the palm trees. So they have, and they're very niche. So if you want to incorporate symbols to your logo, one thing to keep in mind is your market. Who are you trying to reach? Maybe even your competitors. And then the sense of place logo. This is more of a hospitality logo. And I'll talk more about this logo later on. But the point is that depending upon the type of market that you want to attract, type of business that you want to run, these are some things just to keep in mind. Now, other types of things to keep in mind are, do you want to use a symbol? Negative space is always a fun little thing that I like to incorporate into logos. And then this MB logo, this is rather a high-end real estate agent who deals in luxury, high-end, and so this type of simple typography completely works for this agent's market. Something like this Mark DeWill logo may not work in that type of market. So these are also things to keep in mind. This porch light, this is actually kind of a favorite logo of mine. It references, if you can kind of see there is some negative space, but it also references a sliver of the moon. This is the radiating light waves around a porch light. So this completely works. One thing that I need to touch on is things that are on the nose. Roof lines, we've all seen them. And I think that they are kind of overused a little bit. For instance, this is a logo over on the left side, the commercial, residential. We've all seen these types of things, and coming from someone who designs the logos, whenever I see these, I just sort of look the other way, to be honest. It's not very eye-catching to me. And then also keys. I've seen a lot of keys in some logos, and I would rather not see keys again. And also Comic Sans is definitely a font that you don't ever want to use in a logo. I had to talk an agent from using Comic Sans. True story. Now we've talked about some of these elements, things to keep in mind if you want to have your own brand with your own name or not. So now, once I've had this type of initial conversation with an agent, then we start getting into the process. And the process is basically 4 stages. The discovery stage, design stage, refinement, and then finally the brand rollout. So the discovery stage is where we start to have a conversation. And I can sometimes call this stage the this, not that stage. And what we can do is, or what I usually do is I can create a mood board, and we take inspiration. We collect things that are inspiring to us. When I say us, I mean the agent and I, obviously. It could be, maybe a certain font treatment, or, like on the sleeve, the sticker inside of a record, a hotel towel, things that you find inspiring, or the real estate brands that you find inspiring. So we talk about this. And then after that, we go into the design stage, and we start to hone the type of logo that you are most interested in. It's the symbol. It could be a letter form, the abstract, like the sense of place again, or a word mark. And in this case, woo. This particular agent was a big Los Angeles Lakers fan. So that's why there is not quite the exact purple color, but it's close. And Clutch, that was a logo that Clutch is the umbrella company, and they're going to have a property management company, maybe some other offshoots of Clutch. And so we started to think about, what exactly does a clutch do? It's, changes gears. And then again, I've mentioned sense of place, and I'll talk more about how we arrived at that logo on this next slide. So sense of place, after we've kind of figured out the direction of the logo, if it's letters, or is it a symbol, or is it if it's going to incorporate negative space or something along those lines. What I usually do is I'll send 3 different versions based on our conversations. And those 3 versions, as you see, are completely different. And the reason why they're completely different is to hopefully maybe spark an idea, generate an idea, to get a sense where it helps me to get a sense of where you as the agent are thinking. And I always say this when I'm working with agents, is that it's very important to understand that you're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like any of these. This only works when we're honest with each other. And if you don't like anything that I'm producing, it's totally fine. We'll just keep working together and figuring this out. So after I've sent these 3 different versions, we can also start to having a conversation about typography and colors, brand colors. What what kind of brand colors do you like? I think that there are certain colors that you might want to stay away from, and I try and help, give my my 2 cents, my experience with working with palette colors. For instance, you might want to stay away from reds, but we can talk more about that later on. So now that I've sent in these 3 different versions, and in this particular case of Sense of Place, some of these things weren't really working, and through having multiple conversations, we kind of landed on the idea that Sense of Place, the agent wanted to have a feeling of travel, of that sense of when you arrive at a new location, if you look out a window in a hotel room and you're looking at maybe a tropical forest, you're at a new location, and yet you have that sense of newness. And so back and forth, we ended up with this logo, and we landed on the idea of looking through an airplane window as you're coming in on maybe a new, location, like say Hawaii, for instance. And so there's obviously this little subtle S shape in the window, and we talked about fonts and colors, and this was the final logo, which I think turned out really well. Now, then after we've landed on the logo, and we can pop champagne at this point, and what we can do then is we can come up with your marketing assets, all of your design assets. Obviously, business cards, your signs, if you have listing presentations, whatever it is that you want to include in your marketing package, I will help design those. You may or may not want the shopping bag, but that's entirely up to you. So that is sort of a brief high-level view of how I work with agents and arriving at a brand new shiny logo. Are there any questions along the way? I know I kind of threw a lot out here real quick.
Joe, you're on. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I've got an idea. I've got an idea that I'm working on, something that it does involve red. So I thought it was funny that you mentioned that, because I'm trying to integrate. I'm trying to integrate some surf stuff, and a lot of the classic surf logos are red and black.
Yes.
So I know it's kind of a random question, but was kind of wondering, I guess, more on like when it comes to branding, like if you have something that you're that there's a good purpose for, is there times that you see it right to break the rules of that stuff, or what's your thoughts on?
100% break the rules as often and as I'm all for that. There are no rules, per se, and I love working out of the box. And I apologize for saying red because
I was laughing because I was literally just looking at an idea, and I was typing in the word red as you were saying that.
Yes, no, I am all for that. The only thing I would say is just, I think that having a real estate logo, like there aren't any rules, but at the same time, you wouldn't want to have, say, just like a banana in the logo, and then people are like, what is that? Like, how does that relate to real estate?
Right. Yeah, I get it. You definitely have to be able to bring it back and tie it
in.
Yeah,
kind of come together, and tie the two worlds together. But I would be very, very interested to see what kind of logos that you're looking at, especially old surf logos. I've seen some old surf logos. Those are fantastic.
Yeah, no, it sounds good, and I'll set some time up for that later.
For sure. Any other
Cool.
questions?
Yeah, thanks, Rod.
Yeah, of course.
I was going to ask Rod, what do you think are some of the most common pitfalls that agents can make in terms of logo brand identity, and what are some of the best approaches that you've seen people take?
I would say common pitfalls would be just using symbols that are just really overused. And like I mentioned, like roof lines, keys, or a house. Those I think just sort of fall into, they just kind of get lost. And if you want to stand out from your competition, then put some more time into it. And I think not taking enough time and being very trying to be deliberate about what your brand will help you stand out a lot more.
Absolutely. And I guess when agents first come to you and you have that first initial kickoff, has anyone ever been inspired to craft a brand identity or brand logo that's based on something more than just what they do in real estate? I know Sense of Place is a really good example. You may have met with like a few other agents that have, wanted to focus more on not just the real estate aspect, but of like maybe one of their passions as a whole. Does that kind of factor into their brand identity and logo, and how so?
Oh, yes, for sure. There's, for instance, Clutch is a good example of that. Is the levet. I can go back to that slide. It's right there, the C, because all of the, this particular agent had the thoughts of creating other, like I said, the Clutch is an umbrella company. So all the little dots in here were just sort of symbolic of, not saying he's going to start that many different companies, but that was sort of a, symbolic of not just there being just one company, one entity. I hope that sort of answers your question.
No, it absolutely does. And welcome, Melissa. If you're trying to talk, you are currently unmuted.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Hi.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Rod.
Hi.
You've worked with me on some previous logos that I was doing before.
Yeah.
And you were talking about maybe mixing in some other stuff. Just curious, because now I'm also a loan officer. Could you take my Prue Properties logo and somehow like power it would that be a conflict, or could we still work that out?
Oh, we can 100% work that out.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I do remember your logo. Very much
so. Sort of, yeah.
Yep, I remember that logo very well. It's very colorful. I love the gold shades in there. Yes, as a matter of fact, I would love to work with you on that logo.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. We could set up a time. I'll connect with you right after this call.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Does anyone have any other questions? Any final comments? All right. Well, I want to thank Rod so much for coming into rooms just quickly and very eloquently chatting about his process, what people are really looking for in terms of an agent brand identity and logo, and how you just go about intertwining the two to create something really magnificent. And so I want to thank him, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I hope that this was valuable and that you were able to take something away. And I know a few of you are going to be meeting with Rod after this, which is very exciting. But if there are no final questions or comments, I think we will go ahead and wrap up for today. So I hope everyone